Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and we're recording ridiculously late at night after a stream, and so we are going to, as soon as we can, get immediately to these decks. We're going to begin with one of my favorite decks in recent vintage, an Ika Pixie Tempo. Get it? Tempo deck with all the 10s in it. This list is really, really cool and really powerful, one worth checking out if you have access to these cards. The cards you're going to need for it are Pixie, Mobius, Wiccan, and Kate Bishop. You don't actually really need the other cards, although without Surtur, you might as well be running different versions of the Pixie Wiccan deck. Surtur is very particular here. It's the reason you're running Arrow. It's part of what makes Heimdall so good. We'll talk more about that momentarily. For the time being, Malekith can be Shang-Chi. Shang is probably not better than Malekith in this list, but it's good enough that you're not like dying without it. Surtur is sort of what makes this deck its own thing, and Bob and Nico are nice, but Zabu, Iceman, and Hawkeye are good. It's worth remembering that Nico is especially good on turn 1 before Pixie, because turning Pixie into either a demon or destroying it to draw 2 are both extraordinarily powerful plays that absolutely change the way you can play Marvel Snap. The last card you could add in place of these ones, by the way, is the most notable card you can add in place of these ones is Zabu. Now, let's go back here for 1 second and talk about Heimdall. The use of Heimdall in this deck is really interesting, right? If you're playing against good players, they're going to be assuming Goliath, I promise. At least until this deck gets around, everyone sees this type of archetype and goes, oh, it's an Goliath deck, right? And they're now trying to compete for priority. They're doing all these things against you that you don't actually have to worry about. They're going to compete for priority, which makes them make suboptimal plays that you can play around. They're going to try and play things in certain places to like get power around your Goliath. You're not going to play that card. You're instead going to take all that power you had in one place and move it to the other. And that's going to win you way more cubes than it otherwise would, which is the real brilliance of this deck. That's also, like, they know Surtur's going to get pumped, right? But that Heimdall saying, I'm going to pump Surtur while making it be somewhere else also helps protect it from counters. Your Surtur does get to 10 with Arrow into Heimdall, which means you're protecting it against Shang-Chi, you're protecting it against Shadow King, as that Surtur that's sitting on the board as a target is now moved out of the way of those options. It's a brilliant, brilliant twist from the great Ika, who you can find on Twitch at Ika_plays. All right, that's not his name. He's Ika_MTS. Sorry about that. All right, so this is a cube thief with over 60% win rate, which means if it's winning big cubes at that win rate, this is a serious contender. Turn 1, you want Maria Hill if you need a 2 over Nico, which is more or less equal to Bob. You play Nico when it gives you the right spell. Turn 2, you want Pixie over Kate. You'll play Pixie even if you don't have a 3 because Pixie is just that important. Turn 3 is Mobius of Pixie. That's better than Surtur over a 2+1. Turn 4, if you can Wiccan, please play Wiccan. I don't know. That seems relatively straightforward to me. Wiccan is better played over Malekith, but Malekith is perfectly fine. Malekith, especially, really, really good on turn 5 if you don't have Arrow. A Malekith and a 3 play is absolutely through the roof power. A Malekith and Mobius will often just straight up, you can snap on that against a Scar deck for an easy win, stuff like that. Wiccan and Malekith are, again, very, very good cards. Malekith also gives you a better chance of seeing Wiccan on turn 5 while still using all your energy, and you're perfectly fine doing that in a lot of situations. Turn 5 is Arrow if you want that 10 for Surtur, or you can Clog, or Wiccan, Malekith, and a 3 are perfect. Wiccan or Malekith and a 3 are perfectly fine. And then turn 6 is your Heimdall scam, or Magneto with a 2 if you can. Cool. After this, we're going to look at a 63% win rate Fenris Wolf for one of the greatest players in the history of Marvel Snap. But one last look at this. Again, adding Surtur, Heimdall, and Arrow to this is a stroke of genius. Props to Ika for coming up with that as we go forward to asking you to hit that sub button as we aim for 16,000 subs before the end of 2024. We are at 15,300 or so. Your sub would go a long way to getting us there in the next month and a half. If you're willing to show that extra love and support, it would mean the absolute world to us. Hit that sub button. We'll give you in return at least 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. This week we've got at least 8 videos. I'm aiming for 9, but at least 8 videos and at least 2 streams. Show some love, show some support, hit that sub button. We get the best decks from the best players exclusively. A like and a comment also go a long way to telling the algorithm to show us to more people. possible. Help us rage against that machine and be shown on the algorithm by liking and commenting, which can also enter you to win a Surtur Season Pass. Surtur is the Season Pass card for this month. He's a 3-4 now, not a 3-5, but you can get him just by leaving a comment on this video as long as you're subbed. What that comment is will be asked later in the video, so make sure you stay tuned. The first of the two Fenris Wolf decks we're going to talk about is the Moonwalker deck. This is the Fenris Wolf deck. It's got a wolf in it. You might remember from the Thriller video that Michael Jackson becomes a wolf in that video. A werewolf, not a dire wolf, but whatever. We've also got a bunch of move cards, hence the Walker. And we've got Moon Knight and Black Bolt lives on the moon. It all comes together. You just got to trust me. This was easily the best Fenris Wolf deck I tried. I spent some time on stream yesterday. Check the Twitch VOD if you want. Playing a bunch of different Fenris decks. This was the one that I felt the best with. This is also about as good as 2099 has felt in quite a while. There was that Gunny T deck a couple months ago that I thought was great. Literally in September, I believe, that I thought was great. And this is the best it's been since then. It's actually a good card in this list as you're able to, you're able to kill stuff and then bring it back. And if you miss with the 2099, you've also got the Black Bolt and the Moon Knight. You're not really trying to win automatically with Fenris, right? You're not trying to get a ton of power with Fenris. You're just trying to sort of mid-range them to death with a bunch of different power. Really, really cool deck. So Derek is back. Welcome back, Derek. Derek was the #1 player in the Infinite Leaderboard in both August and September, and #2 last month in October. So Derek is one of the greats of Marvel Snap, and he's back to building decks and playing, which is absolutely wonderful to any fan of the game who wants cool things to do in this game. Welcome back to my friend Derek. This deck needs Fenris and Madam Web. Proxima can be Swarm. Either Ghost Spider or Aranya can be Strange, but you do need either Ghost Spider or Aranya. Luckily, Ghost Spider is a Series 4 if that's necessary. Proxima can be Swarm just fine. In some ways, Swarm is better. In that, like, you can just drop a 2-3 sometimes. It's really hard to find time to drop a 4. All right, so let's go card by card here. So you have the move package, or at least package. Aranya, Ghost Spider, and Iron Fist, and Madam Web go with Torch and Vulture. You would like to save one of these for 2099, which is where the packages are going to intersect, right? It doesn't take a lot to make Human Torch 8 or 16 power. That's one of the biggest cards in the game. That's 2 move triggers, right? Like that's an Aranya, which is going to push it to an 8 into a Madam Web into another move, right? Like that's obviously an extremely powerful thing to do. It's an immediate way to say I'm going to compete in this lane. Plus, you don't have to move that right away. It's extremely strong. This package, when combined with Vulture, Vulture is also an easy, often 16 power. 2 moves again will do that with Vulture with much less work. When you combine that lane-winning power with Moon Knight and Disruption, you realize that all of these key move cards, except for Dagger, who's not in the list, are odd-cost cards, right? So Moon Knight makes a lot of sense, and then you have that Moon Knight Fenris trigger. But we also have a move card, Fenris works with Discard and Destroy, that works with both of them, hence the 2099. 2099 is also just decent power. You can technically, not technically, I guess, you can mentally add the power that 2099 kills to him, so he's almost always more than a 5-9, sometimes only a 5-10, right? But I've on the VOD yesterday, I killed a Dracula with him twice, and killing Dracula is representing like 20 power, right? Or more than that. This means that that's an extremely powerful thing to do. It really can work out for you. Again, another odd cost card. So you have Moon Knight and 2099 that both work with Fenris. At that point, you might as well just add Black Bolt and Stature. I was very early drawing Black Bolt and Stature, which was frustrating. But Black Bolt and Stature, now you have a 1/7 to play. Amazing stats. Black Bolt gives you, it's unlikely for Black Bolt to be the thing you hit Fenris, but in a game, I hit a Malekith, right? That's a 4/6. That's perfectly fine as a Fenris target. That's going to give you 2 cards. There's a million plays like this that really work together. The Moon Knight is the only way to discard Proxima, but fine, right? Like there's a million ways for this deck to work together to put out a ton of power and be really, really, really effective. The turn by turn is turn 1 Aranya. Turn 2, you want Web over Fenris over set up your Vulture move. Turn 3 is you either Vulture move or you can drop Moon Knight if you don't have a 2 in hand. And especially if you have Proxima, obviously. Turn 4, Vulture and move shenanigans. Turn 5, Black Bolt or Moon Knight and Fenris, or you can drop the 2099 and you can set up the 2099 to move with either by either playing it on Madam Web or setting it up with Aranya or setting up an Iron Fist as part of your turn 4. Like you can play a Moon Knight and an Iron Fist and then just play a 2099 to move it that turn, and that's going to still leave you the cheap stature for the last turn, for example. Turn 6 is ideally your 2099 move if it hasn't happened yet with stature, and then you can trigger Fenris. That Fenris trigger should bring back something of reasonable size. You're not trying to dominate a lane, you're just trying to be competitive in a lane where you didn't otherwise look to be, and then you should be able to win. Cool. This list is awesome. This is the best Fenris deck I played so far. We're going to take a look at one more great Fenris deck right after this. But first, we've got top player thoughts on Fenris, and then I'm going to tell you my take, and then I'll give you an actual suggestion tomorrow. So Fenris is a 2-3. Sizer, the number one player last season and several other seasons, is a 3-time number one player, says this can high roll, but overall underwhelming. Average, not meta defining, good in Sarah. Cool. This is a card that's just sort of exists, I think is a thing we're going to see. Shuri and Joy says, I like it. Annoying to play against, 7 out of 10. Huh. Shuri and Joy is relatively high in it, but I think an important thing to note is that Marvel Snap tries to release exciting cards into Spotlight caches. Otherwise, they might as well not release cards because no one just opens any bad cards they release, right? It's easy to skip that week and go, ooh, thank you. Think Fastos week, for example, right? So they want these cards to be exciting. 7 out of 10 isn't really exciting. That's a fine number. Yeah? Safety agrees. Average will be better when people realize it isn't worth building against, which is the definition of damning with faint praise. Dickens says not a huge fan, encourages decks I don't like, but seems fine, and fine was in italics. Jimmy does not seem to like this card. Derek, the aforementioned multiple number one player, says this seems decent, long term, reasonably good with Gladiator, or against one turn play 5 decks with Negasonic. He gave an example of the last month Agent Venom deck that was just trying to play Iron Man or Claw on turn 5. Against that type of deck with Negasonic, this is a very good card. Komi's is the highest person of all on it, will be OP, but not until Shang is good again. And I have a concern because I don't think Glenn ever wants Shang to be good again. He just made a meta where all the 4/10s and Scar around and Shang still isn't good, so I'm not convinced this is going to exist. Johnson, the great Johnson from Korea, says bad with Shang, good with discard or mill, which I think is an important note. We're largely trying to get rid of cards from hand to do this, limiting options and then making your 2-3 play for a lot more energy. W says unimpressed, but will have its day with more support. So we don't know of any data mine support cards for this, but as they come out, this will get better. Owie says good and fresh, especially with mill. Keeps the cards buffs. Excuse me. If you can kill like a big sage, when you bring it back, it'll retrigger and give you the sage, for example. So Owie likes it. Owie likes mill a lot. That's not shocking. Ratko, Philip Rakovich says it fucking sucks. Fair enough. Ekmati says it's mid and a win more card. Notable. Ekmati and Shuri and Jory tend to play together, and they don't often agree, which I think is really interesting since they're both top players. Moram says good, needs more time to cook. Nithiel also notes that this is not broken, but it's going to need more cooking. Whatever we have, we're not there yet unless that Derek deck ends up taking over the meta. Abra says strong and flexible for discard and destroy. Discard is more consistent. So I think part of the problem, part of what we're seeing is people trying to destroy with like Negasonic and Daredevil more. We'll get to that from Ika, who says it despite having the deck that everyone likes best for this card. The Derek list is only getting popular as of this recording. It has not been seen a lot. I'd be surprised if before this video you're seeing it much on ladder unless you're very high infinite. However, Ika's is the list you're probably running into on ladder right now. It's going to be the next deck we talk about. Ika, however, says if you build around it, you have a bad deck. If you put in a good deck, you waste a spot. Ouch. Toxic Soul King says mid, not what people hyped him to be. This is the most negative. These players have been on a card in quite a while. If you'd like to see gameplay from these decks outside of me, please check out the stream team. Today is Thursday. I lost track of days of the week. Check out the King of Canada, please, at 12 p.m. Eastern. GamingwithFlashX will have some stuff up, hopefully later on. All right, Ika's Fenris 2. Accidentally named a Chris deck Ika Fenris. My bad. So this is the list you're probably seeing around right now. This has 2 really, really brilliant ideas for this card. That's like Ashang is obvious, Black Bolt is obvious, right? US Agent with Gladiator means that you can kill things like if you pull a Red Hulk, Gladiator is going to kill that Red Hulk, which is amazing. You can bring that, you play your wolf in a different lane, and then you bring it back, and you just don't get the negative. which is badass. The other thing is you play Daredevil to be sure where you Negasonic on turn 5, assuming you can keep Prio. This isn't a perfect Prio deck, but that's what Hydra Bob is for, and Gladiator is for, right? So if you can get that Negasonic off, that's another really, really powerful thing to do with Daredevil. That's the two real tricks here. This is a deck built around it. When this saw Fenris Wolf, I played this too. This felt great. When it didn't see Fenris Wolf, this deck felt useless. All right, so you can find Ika at twitter.com/Ika's show. This deck needs Fenris, US Agent, and Gladiator. Copycat can be Gambit or Cassandra Nova. And Hydrobob and Nebula can be Lizard and Echo. Part of the value of Nebula here is Nebula tells your opponent where to play for when you don't see Daredevil, which gives you an extra Negasonic target. Nice and simple, right? Okay, so turn 1, Nebula over Bob. Turn 2, Daredevil is better than Fenris. You can play US Agent if you're sure you're Gladiatoring next, and you have space on 4. Turn 3 is Copycat over Gladiator. Again, US Agent if you're going to Gladiator. Turn 4 is 2/2s. Turn 5 is Black Bolt or Negasonic Plus. And turn 6 is Shang, Bob, Stature, and Trigger Fenris. Nice and simple, right? We're going to do one more really great deck after this. A surprise Cerebro 3 appearance from our friend. But first, one last look at this. This is what you're doing, Fenris. If this kind of deck seems like it's your thing, this is very mid-rangey and struggles for power, and it needs Fenris Wolf, then this is the card for you. But if you have Fenris and want to play it in a really cool deck, please do give this a try. This is, again, the most popular Fenris deck as far as like really good players are playing right now. The Derek one will likely overtake it, but these are the cream of the crop right now. We have 2 bundle reviews before we get going. Ignore the side of the screen. I took a weird screenshot while I was streaming. All right, so Mechanical Madness is the 3,000 collector token, 500 gold bundle for $30. $30 for a Series 4 card is not a terrible deal. 215% progress is top of the line stuff. You even get 500 gold. I think that if you are in the market for tokens at all, this is an absolutely excellent buy. 215% is about 45% more value than usual for this amount of money you spend. That's obviously huge. You're getting 45% more value than would be expected. 170 is about the expected value for 170% is about the average expected progress value for a good buy, which makes this an absolutely great buy. If you want if you want collector's tokens, buy it. Next up, we have the Strength of Scar bundle. Again, ignore the stupid weird side of the thing. This is slightly worse, right? It's 6% worse, but it's still well above average. If you don't have Kyara, buy this, right? You will still eventually get Kyara in a random spotlight, fine, whatever. But if you don't have Kyara, you're getting a series 5 card that you can play and put in decks, along with 5,000 tokens and 7,000 gold. That's an amazing deal. Amazing deal. I almost bought this just because 209% value for the exact stuff I want. Credits and gold is a great deal. I think that this is a killer bundle. Do check it out, please. You will not be sad you did. These 2 bundles in the shop are absolutely stellar. Feel free to buy either. If you're in the market for a bigger bundle, the Kara bundle. If you're in the market for a smaller bundle, the Ultron bundle. But also, please remember, you're getting a Series 5 card with Strengths of Sakaar. And if you need Kyra, this is more like a 600% progress value or something stupid like that. Just get it. All right, our final deck of the day is Robo 3. This is a Cerebro 3 deck from our friend Lil Robotussin, who now goes by Robo Plays. This is a really cool deck. I like it a lot. I think it's very powerful. It's very interesting. There's one card I don't like in it. That card is Best. I think Ravonna is way too good to risk in this deck, especially with Frigga in it. But outside of that, this list is a absolute killer. So you can find Robo at twitch.tv/Robo_plays. No more Lil Robotussin 1. This deck needs Ravonna. Frigga can be Cosmo, Invisible, or Sentinel. Red Guardian can be US Agent. I know that that's just replacing an expensive card with an expensive card, but like Red Guardian is too good of a control piece for 3 that I think the only other real control piece that's comparable is US Agent. All right, so turn 1, you Bast, although again, I don't think you should really have Bast here. Turn 2 is Ravonna over Daredevil. Turn 3, I would, if I weren't playing Bast, just for the record, play Sentinel. Turn 3 is Cerebro if Mystique or Frigga. Luke is also fine here. Turn 4 is Mystique or Frigga on your Cerebro over Luke. You can drop 2 2s if you need to get rid of a location, or if you just find Ravonna now, that's perfectly fine. If you played Ravonna earlier, you can drop Iron Man here, and then you can go Mystique and Frigga, and then you can have a third Iron Man that costs 2, which is just insane. or you can just drop Iron Man at this point. Turn 6, Valky or Cerebro Mystique Iron Man combos, and then you win because you're just playing an absolute shit ton of power. There is no Enchantress in the meta right now, like at all. There is almost no Rogue in the meta. There's very little Echo in the meta. If you want to play a deck like this, now is a great time. You're going to win a lot of cubes. You're going to win a lot of cubes. Enjoy it. Go play it. Kick ass. Way to go, Robo, for this very cool build. Would you like to win, Surtur? If so, what's your favorite 2-cost card right now? Answer in the comments. Question of the day. Nick the Greeky asks, is Activate a game changer or nothing? It is my belief that Activate is an absolutely nothing of an ability. It's not that it's bad, right? Like, I'm happy it's in the game. It's that it's, generally speaking, just significantly worse than On Reveal and Ongoing. It's very hard to pull off. It's really great for Black Swan. And outside of that, like, if it's good, it's kind of broken. And I don't think that's a good place to be. And it's much more easy to make a bad Activate card than a good one. Sorry, I don't think Activate is great. I think if it could be triggered on the last turn somehow, it would completely change my opinion of it. But that, like, the card has 2 limiters. Its cost and the turn you play it makes it a really difficult thing to pull off. Zen and Cyrene, that's my dream vacation. We're hoping to spend 2 weeks in Italy this summer, and that's going to be the best. I absolutely adore Italian food. We're going to go to Capri, and then I want to take a train around Italy with my wife and son, and I'm really excited for it. And speaking of my amazing and incredible wife, it is now November 21st, 2024, which is my wife's birthday. I love her more than anything in this earth. She's in Bermuda right now with one of our best friends, enjoying the sun and the beach, and I love her, and I hope her vacation is amazing. If you are interested in any like handcrafted jewelry that's really beautiful, check out www.thecrystalbee.com. That's her website. Shoot her a message. She's also the Crystal B21 on Instagram. I'd really appreciate it, and it's her birthday, so if you're willing, please check it out. She's the best. She's so much better of a human being than I am. It's insane. All right, so patreon.com/snapjudgments is how you can throw some extra support at the channel. I'm going to fly through today because it's ridiculously late at night. Thank you, Abigail, Meditor Burnout, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield, Dirty Casual, Danton, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I Am Frostman, J. Nevoid, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Kiertix Lee, Koiray, thanks for hanging out in the stream, Koiray, Black Dahlia, Prayer Post, The Goat Seeker, Hollowed, Quid Bro Joe, Fat Nick, thank you for joining, Fat Nick, I miss you a lot, my friend, Mr. Kerfuffle, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Hey Racco, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, XRC, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Skippy G, thank you so much, really appreciate it. I hope you really enjoy the thing with that you're buying. Tommy Nyquist, the Winter Special League Season 1, King of Bros, Bro, The Great Kazoo, Kev C. Hoda, Lunacris, Corwin, John Q, Jim McHugh, Clam, Colonel Forbin, 8th Stage, Mod Supreme Models, Green Goblin, You Neat Bot, Flan56, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., The Fuzzy Doll, Spectrum X, Hood, Matt H., DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, Zodrex, The King of Canada, Deadman Falcon, Jonesy, thank you for joining, Jonesy, The Great Two Ties, the all-time GOAT, Lauren Whatevs, the Pirate King Tuccrr, thanks for hanging out as well, and Scunny T, where the T stands for. Tonight's podcast that we're recording tonight, as of you watching this, is Sizer and Den for the top 10 cards of Marvel Snap. On top of that, just want to say, shout out, a huge thank you to Alex Kochia and Sizer for the gigantic raids last night. I appreciate it more than I can put into words. Check out a really great Marvel Snap video right there if you want some gameplay from top tournament players, and check out the #1 deck right below it. And I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take and so very much more. Peace.